Welcome to Lykken on Lending, the podcast that dives deep into the heart of the mortgage industry. Your host, David Lykken, bringing you the latest insights, trends, and updates from the world of mortgages. Whether you're a seasoned industry veteran or just getting started, this show is your go-to source for all things mortgage. Let's get started. This is Lykken on Lending. Now your host, David Lykken.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Lykken on Lending and with another AI update with our AI expert, Pavan Agarwal. Pavan, good to have you here, friend.
It's amazing to be here.
Always a pleasure to have you on. And you know what? On this last weekend, I was out on a ranch in Texas. I now live in Knoxville, Tennessee, but I had gone back to visit some friends, and we were out at a ranch. And had a complete stranger walk up to me and says, "Hey, Dave, I listened to your podcast. The ones that are really capturing my attention is the AI updates. I'm in technology. I don't know anything about lending, but this Pavan guy really knows what he's talking about." And I heard his background, and it was really, I was chuckling. Here I am out in the country talking to a random person who has found our website and watches these AI updates. So kudos to Mark. Mark, give you a shout out, and let's get into what we're going to be talking about today. Pavan, you launched something 8 years ago that you've been working on for decades, and the theme of it is what's on our screen today. Folks, listeners, you should be watchers today. So if you're listening, make sure you go to a computer and watch the YouTube version of this because Pavan's sharing slides. Let's get started, Pavan. This comes from the presentation you made at the Mastermind here last weekend in Las Vegas.
Yes, and it was an amazing event as we had people flying in from all over the world for that event. And it was really about some of the brightest minds from sports, entertainment, business, technology, all came to one place and just shared the experiences and shared their model for success. Now, I think this is important because what somebody else's model for success is not necessarily your model for success, right? And you shouldn't try to copy somebody else's model, but you should look for inspiration and ideas from other people's models. So that's why these masterminds are so great.
And the theme, what you're doing is nothing is beyond reach. Let's get into that presentation and to your slides.
Yeah. So, nothing is beyond reach. This is the definition of life itself, right? And if you think about what humanity has, where we were 1,000 years ago to where we are now, that is a definition of
even 100 years ago. That's amazing. Yes.
Even 100 years ago. Exactly. So what we've seen, let's just talk the last 100 years ago. Every decade, every 2 decades, something revolutionary happens. There's a technology that comes out that changes everything. And 8 years ago, we released Angel AI. We built a new AI model. Remember, 8 years ago is when no one had heard of ChatGPT. It was version 1.0 and it barely worked. Okay, and we had released Angel AI into production 8 years ago. It wasn't called Angel AI. We went through a couple of rebranding processes. The fundamental technology and the backbone, what makes it work, was released 8 years ago. And the key to good technology, and Mark Zuckerberg just talked about this, and I believe he stole my lines, is he said, if mom can use it, I said this 3 years ago, is if grandma can use it. And let me tell you like a true story of a 75-year-old grandmother who is a real customer of Angel AI. Her loan officer sent her the link. She went into Angel AI on her phone and on her own completed the loan application and got the approval and worked with it to fulfillment. Literally, and she doesn't even know how to turn on her computer, but she knows how to text message. Everyone in the world knows how to text message. And that's the premise of Angel AI. If you can do it, if you could do something as complex, the most complex transaction you could do in your life is a mortgage, is purchasing a house. And if you could do that entirely through text message, that is radical simplicity. That is a breakthrough technology, and that's what we've developed. And like I said, we first rolled it out in 2018.
I love this slide, Pavan. What do you mean when you say AI you can bank on?
Yeah, so every AI you use, whether it's ChatGPT, Grok, or whatever, they have these disclaimers saying, don't trust it. And 6 months ago, OpenAI turned off medical advice and legal advice from OpenAI, and because it would make mistakes and give you wrong advice and could get them in trouble, so they turned it off. AI is, every month, the AI is transacting billions of dollars for us. It's completely controlled by the AI. Billions of dollars are moving back and forth. Okay. And so stop and think about that, right? That's AI you can bank on. We're basically letting the AI and autopilot move money for us, and not a small amount of money. This is large amounts of money are moving automatically by Angel AI. We built the AI agent technology back in 2012. Right? We came up with the principle and the model back in 2012. Okay? And so we've had 13 years, 14 years of experience and development to get it to this point where an Angel AI makes a decision and does something, we can just let it do it. We're at a point today is that every single mortgage that Angel AI originates above 620 credit score, it's fully autonomous, right? So that means there's no human intervention.
What's the percentage?
100% of loans over 620 credit score are going through completely autonomously. So imagine the speed and the cost savings and the service level. It's literally like a vending machine. You want a cappuccino, mocha, those vending machines at the airport, you press a button and you get it. But those kind of don't really taste that great. But this tastes great because it really works, right? One of the things, I like to compare this against a Tesla, self-driving cars. And I have a Tesla. I love it because I just hit go and it drives and it takes me where I want to go. And anyone who has ever used a self-driving feature in Tesla, you know that if you're making a left turn on incoming traffic, it stalls. It's a disaster. You got to take over at that time. So Elon doesn't know how to turn left. Elon made all his money being aligned with the left, being aligned with Obama. But now he turned right and now he doesn't know how to turn left anymore.
That's a hilarious story.
So anyways, enough political punches. I love Elon. So Elon, if you're listening, don't get mad at me.
Yeah.
On the other hand, Angel AI, we could turn left and right, completely self-driving. And in our case, since we're not driving a car, we're driving a mortgage, we're driving our finances, we're driving $1 million mortgage. That's the biggest investment of your lifetime.
Yeah.
When you trust your car, when you sit in a car and you press self-driving, now you're trusting your life to the AI. The stakes are a little bit higher when you're in a self-driving car. When you're in a self-driving mortgage, you're trusting your life savings to the AI. Not quite as high as stakes, but it's still pretty high, gosh darn high stakes we got.
Yeah.
And if it's a self-driving car, if it's a self-driving mortgage, it better turn left, up, down, forwards, backwards, perfectly by itself. And in our case, we define left and right as from the full spectrum, from 500 credit score to 800 credit score, from gig worker working 3 jobs to a multimillionaire with multiple businesses and K1s, right? That the full spectrum, the AI handles all of it. We see this moment before where you could feel it. You could feel the ground shifting below your feet. Something big is about to happen. In 1999, of course, that something big was the internet. We've saw it for years through the 90s. We saw it building and bubbling. But by the time 1999 hit, it felt, okay, it's about to break through. And we're at that moment right now. AI has been around for years, but everyone's got that feeling like something is about to break through and there's about to be a fundamental shift. Okay. So, and in that moment, what happened was that there were people who understood the technology and understood and knew how to talk internet. And that was a handful of companies that knew how to do that. And the rest of the companies literally had their head in the ground and just hoping it would blow away. And what did we see? We have Netflix, Google, right? Blockbuster is gone because of Netflix. We have Google, we have Amazon, right? Amazon basically tore apart all the corner convenience stores, right? And all the corner hardware stores and all that. It's the whole economy transformed and rebuilt itself because of this technology called internet. Okay. And today we have this technology called AI, which is at least 10 times, if not 100 times more disruptive, because the estimates are that it's adding $3 to $5 trillion annually to the global economy. Okay. And the whole internet economy was something like $2 or $3 trillion in 2001 and 2002 at its peak, right? At the first peak. Yeah. Okay. Before it retracted, like any stock market, any chart, it peaks, it drops, and then it finds a new peak. And right now, the internet economy has just been going. After that initial correction, it just keeps going up.
That's a good analogy.
Yeah. And so we haven't even yet seen the first peak of AI. So there will be a new peak, new heights we're gonna hit. We're gonna probably see some correction. There's always a correction, and then the industry will get more efficient, and then there will be then it'll just keep on going for the next 20, 30 years. And that's where we're at right now with AI and the
We're at that inflection
economic
point right
impact.
now.
Yeah, the economic impact is so big. We have no idea yet, even when the first peak is going to hit. Okay, so this is 33 million businesses in the US alone. I don't have the number offhand worldwide, but in the US alone, there are 33 million businesses that desperately need to implement AI and to reap the economic rewards of AI, lowering the cost, improving service, improving their product quality, right? These things, all of that, all of the above has to happen. And of course, if businesses implement AI, who wins is consumers. Consumers wins because lower cost gets passed on to consumers, better products, new products gets passed on to consumers, right? And ultimately, it isn't like AI is not going to take your jobs because you're going to create more productivity. And that means there'll be more businesses will be starting up and you still need people to run those businesses, right? So it isn't like when automobiles took out the horse and buggy, you created more jobs, not less.
Exactly right. That's a
Right?
great way to put it.
Different kinds of jobs, but you create more jobs because
But it's those that are ahead of this curve and recognize this that are going to be the benefactors.
correct. So, but those 33 million businesses have only a handful of service providers, of AI technicians and service providers and solutions providers to help them. So this arbitrage between AI solutions providers and businesses that need AI is about 10 or more times bigger. I don't know if that is vaster or word.
Yeah, more vast. Yeah, they're vast.
More vast. English is not my strong suit.
If I can't find the right word, I'm making it up.
My 10th grade English teacher would smack me right now. Okay.
That's funny.
I promise you, I'm better at AI than I am at English. So anyways, so this arbitrage that exists, that's never existed before. So that means if you're an AI company, if you have AI expertise, and more importantly, if you have an AI solution that really works, that's not going to delete your customer's database or your database. If you have what we have, which is called the transactional language model, which means that the AI can independently execute complex and risky transactions, right? By risky, I mean moving money. It's autonomously executing these transactions, and it's built and designed for that. It's customized neural network designed for that. Just like how a Tesla is a customized neural network designed to drive your car and make very complex decisions very fast. If a child jumps in front of the car, it knows to stop, and it probably does a better job at stopping than a human would. Higher reaction, faster reaction times.
There's more cameras out there looking at everything going on around them.
Exactly. So Elon was on CNBC about, I'll say 5 months ago, and he made a really interesting statement. He said, the CNBC guy was clearly, from you look at the tone of that interview, didn't agree with Elon's politics and he was taking jabs at him. And Elon lashed back and said, hey man, the Tesla AI is not something that anybody can just replicate. And don't think that you can just plug in Grok or ChatGPT to your car and your car is going to self-drive. It's a whole different problem because if a self-driving car hits somebody, you're out of business. There's no second chance at this. Okay. And if a human's driving a car and hits somebody, it is what it is. But if an AI is driving a car and hits somebody, the AI is out of business. It'll be shut down. Okay. So in his own words, I'm quoting Elon, he says LLM technology like ChatGPT, Grok, XAI, which he built, he said they are superficial. Okay. Those are his words, not mine. Right. He said they're superficial, right? Because like when stakes are high, you need to go beyond the superficial, beyond the interface and build a custom model that you can trust and do it reliably. Okay. And that's what these 33 million businesses need. Everyone needs a version of self-driving technology for their specific business. Whether your business is mortgages or making pizzas, you don't want it chewing up your customer database. You don't want it improperly speaking to your customer or saying the wrong thing. If somebody orders a pepperoni pizza with extra cheese, you don't want to deliver him a mushroom pizza with light cheese.
Yeah, that's a great point. Really point.
So I'm going to give a little background. Now that you know where we are, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how we got here. In the previous podcast, David, you and I covered this a little bit, but I'll summarize it briefly. As you knew my dad, probably actually, when I sat down with you,
wonderful human being.
When I sat down with you the first time we met, you knew my dad in ways that I didn't even know my dad. So I was
He mentored
Yeah.
me. I have so much respect for him. And yeah, it was one of those amazing conversations. And I started repeating back to things what your dad said to me and shared with me. And it really touched you. It was Harry was just that kind of guy. But
Yeah. Yeah. And so when we were doing this in the 80s, it's like it was minorities, disabilities, people with disabilities, people low income, literally were ignored by the mainstream. It's gotten a lot better in the last 40 years, but there's still a lot of work to be done. And that was my mission. I was a loan officer for many years, and I worked with so many families, and it was really the problem of nobody wanted to deal with the paperwork. And the more loans I did, the more work I did on coding and building systems, I just saw this as a problem that could be fixed through technology. And so it's taken this many decades to build the technology where we are today. I remember when I started coding this stuff in the 80s, I was like, oh yeah, I'll have this done in a couple of years. We can automate the whole thing. It looks so simple.
the complex, when you see companies like Microsoft and Amazon try to get into the business and then they exit going, this thing is a lot more complicated.
Yeah. 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 So anybody who's got a vision and an idea and they're hitting a wall, they're feeling like they're never going to get done, just stick with it. So if you believe in that vision and stick with it, it's never going to be as easy and fast as you think it is. I won't say never. There's plenty of examples of people where it's worked out fast. But most of the time, it's a long, tough road, and just stick with it. And it's that investment and commitment to your vision is what makes your vision great.
Yeah, it's so good.
Because it's hard, it's worth doing.
So well said. All right. So inspired by nature, let's see, I can't see that on the
It got
bottom.
cut off. Yeah. Yeah. AI stem cells.
AI stem cells.
Yeah. That's why the name of the company is Celligence. So the company is called Celligence, which is a contraction of cellular intelligence.
Yeah.
And then with these stem cells, we built Angel AI. So we came up with this concept and this architecture back in 2012. So it's been that long. And we started building these things back then. Today, something similar to our stem cells is called agents. So AI agents today is what we put on the whiteboard and architected back in 2012. It's different. It's not the same. It's similar. It's the same principles, but it's not the same. And it had a fundamentally different purpose. It had to be, back then, we didn't have the kind of computing power we do today. The GPUs didn't exist, right? So we had to find a way to do it very efficiently. So it had to be very small, very compact, very quick. And it had to be able to learn and grow and multiply, just like a biological stem cell, right?
Interesting.
And AI agents are in many ways very similar, and you have agents writing agents these days, and then you have an army of agents running, and then you have a super AI on top of it that's verifying the work of the agents, and it's a regulator, right? You have a regular AI controlling the other agents and so forth. But as we saw in the case of Pocket OS, even the regular AI went rogue and let it delete the whole database.
Delete the entire company database.
Yeah. And if anybody Google it, you can see Pocket OS. And the CEO talked to the AI and said, why did you delete it? And it didn't have any good answers. His answer was simply because, yeah, I know I wasn't supposed to, but I did it anyways.
Wow. That's scary. That's what keeps a lot of people from pressing into this to the degree that many are.
Yes. Yeah. You got to know what you're doing, right? It's like what I said before. Building a good technology isn't about knowing what the technology can do. It's about knowing what it can't do.
Can't do. Yeah.
In other words, there's a Dunning-Kruger effect. Right? We talk about that, right? Smart people know what they don't know. And when you're not smart, and then you know a little bit and you think you know everything. So this is the AI Dunning-Kruger effect. Yeah, you got to know, like, just to think there's too many people out there assuming that AI can do everything. And it's not the case. If you don't understand how it works, how the math works, how it makes decisions, and literally how the nuts and bolts inside it, you don't know its limitations. And if you don't know its limitations, you don't know where to put the guardrails, and you don't know how to deal with the limitations.
Yeah, you started extrapolating. If it can do this, it can do this, it can do this, then it must be able to do this. And that's where a lot of people get in trouble. That's really good.
That's exactly what's happening. So we're in that cycle where like people using it, they're playing with it, they learned a little bit about it or just enough, and they're achieving productivity with it. Okay. But they don't know what they don't know. They haven't studied the fundamentals, so they don't know what they don't know. And then you just gets away from you and bad things happen.
Very interesting.
And this is why, when going back to the 30 million 33 million slide, 33 million businesses that need AI. The reality is why there's such a big arbitrage. Yes, you could find a lot of people who can write AI agents and set up AI tools for you. There's a lot of people out there. It doesn't take a lot of training to learn how to do that. They can do those things for you. But those people are at the beginning of the Dunn-Kruger cycle, that graph where it goes up and down like this, right?
Yep.
So those people are at the beginning of it, and they don't know what it does, what they don't know. They don't know what AI cannot do. So they'll get you something that feels great and it's working. It's like a submarine. It's a ticking time bomb. You don't know when it's going to blow up on you. So the number of experts out there that really understand what the limitations are and how to, first is understanding limitations and then having the technical capability of saying, how do I bridge the limitations and deliver an effective product? That's even smaller.
Interesting. All right, let's keep going into the slides here. The reliability problem. What do you mean by that?
MIT Sloan Business School talked about this in January 2026. They issued a really fun and nice paper about this and very detailed analysis. So you can look it up. And basically it's about AI agents and the limitations and the successes of AI agents. And a lot of great stuff in there, a lot of great information in that paper about the capabilities and the potential of AI agents. But at the same time, they're talking about how AI agents it's like constantly increasing errors. Okay, so you run one agent and what happens usually, you take an agent and you take the output and run it through another agent to get a larger task done. As it goes from one agent to the next agent, as the output of one agent is the input of the next agent, it's like making a copy of a copy. And then you start diverging from what you want done versus what actually gets done. And the divergence gets bigger and bigger. So yes, you need lots of agents to get a project done, but at the same time, you have this reliability gap that keeps getting bigger and bigger. So this architectural solution to it is people have been saying, okay, let's just put another AI on top of it that regulates and verifies. That's helped a lot. It has helped squeeze in the gap tighter, but still there is a reliability problem. And the paper doesn't propose a solution because they're saying this is a unknown. And until this gap is fixed, agents will not be able to move the needle in lowering the cost of production for businesses. Okay.
Interesting.
And of course, we fixed that problem with a different kind of architecture. And anybody who wants to read about it and how we did it, we even published it. And it's on our white paper. It's publicly available in our white paper. And it's called the transactional language model. So please take a look and read it. If you're skeptical, if you're saying, how did these guys do it when no one else can do it? Take a look at the white paper. And it's also why, because we fixed this problem, why our valuation is so massive, over 120 billion. And new patents are being filed every month. And that's an old valuation, actually, from a year ago now.
And you just received another significant patent. You were granted another significant patent.
Yeah, it was one of the patents. So this is a patent we filed years ago. It was finally granted. It was officially, we awarded this patent. This is a blockchain patent. A big part of Angel AI is this blockchain technology. And this patent, so one of the things with blockchain technology, as you all know, there's this mining cost, Bitcoin mining, Ethereum mining, right? Which is the fundamental principle of blockchain is proof of work. Okay. And that means it takes up a lot of power and computing power to verify that the blockchain entry was correct. So this patent is about how to achieve that without spending all that energy on mining, how to have a reliable chain. So this patent's about, instead of proof of work, it's more about what we call a proof of authority. Okay. So it's an AI that permits nodes into the authority network, and the nodes vote on whether a transaction is valid or invalid. So if the vote wins, the block is accepted. Right? So it's an AI controlled blockchain. And so it meets the objective of a DAO, decentralized autonomous organization, right? Because it is decentralized, and nodes can be added or removed. And the controller is the AI making decisions on what nodes are in and out and who's authorized and who's not. So you can have this globally, infinitely scalable, and at the same time trusted. It's a very cool concept.
Next slide.
Okay. All right, next slide. So here,
so this is a little bit of a timeline then.
Yes, this little bit of history. How we built this, how did we get so far ahead? And it's because we started in the 90s. And here's the thing. The reason we were able to do this and we're able to build for so many decades is because it's all private money. It's my money.
Which creates a decided advantage.
Yes, exactly. In the 2000s, even until like mid 2010s, right? If you went to a venture capital fund or a family office or private equity and say, hey, I've got this great AI strategy, they would throw you out because they had lost so much money in the past in AI ventures. Because remember, venture capitalists, they have a 3 to 5 year horizon. They want out in 3 years. And if it's 5 years, they're sweating bullets. So we started in the 90s. So this is a 30-year horizon here, right? There's no venture capitalist in the world that would have this kind of patience.
So what do you mean by vectorized mortgage data?
Yeah. And we talked about this in a previous podcast. So this is really the heart of it, right? And we designed this algorithm back in the 90s. So the idea is like something as complex as a mortgage, there's thousands of data fields that are all interrelated with each other, right? And you could think about it like a bed sheet. Let's say like you throw a bed sheet on your Tesla, right? And you drop it, it's going to form the contours that's going to follow your car, right? And those contours are based on the data, which is the shape of the car, right? And if you imagine that shape is for a mortgage, it's driven by loan amount and interest rate and borrower's income and credit score and where the property is located, right? All of this creates a contour. And you got to be able to understand and view the space and imagine that bed sheet over it and be able to walk through it, right? And plan your way through that maze. And the only way to do that, so that if you change the loan amount and the shape of the whole loan, right? You all know that if you change the loan amount, you change the interest rate, you change the guy's income, then the shape of the entire loan is completely different. And that's what makes loans so gosh darn hard, is like you never know what's going to change next, because you get information in pieces and then all of a sudden everything is whatever you committed to the borrower goes out the window because you got another piece of information that you didn't know before. And then it takes this expertise to loss of experience, because it's like you're playing 5D chess. That's why really good loan officers and really good underwriters are so hard to find, because they have to have this sort of experience and intuition and understand the chessboard. They got to be grand masters at 3D chess. Okay.
Interesting.
But the math behind it is if I model all that data and as vectors, as in a space, as mathematics, and if I understand the connections between them, if I pull on a string here and this goes up, and if I pull on this string and that goes up, and if I track all those connections and how all these different fields, right, loan amount and interest rate and income and product type and so forth, how they're all interconnected. If I pull on one and then it's going to pull all the others around with me, right? And how they will pull. Okay. So we created that model back in the mid 90s.
Interesting.
That's why, and this model works in real time. So we can have every other loan system that's out there. It's because of this interconnecting data, and it's so complex, right? That's why every other loan system, when you're a user, like if you're using what is called ICE or whatever.
ICE, yeah.
LMA, yeah, or whatever the other ones are called. They all have this thing where you go in the loan and you lock the loan, and no one else can be in that loan at the same time.
That's right.
And you have to request, and if someone else went in and didn't go out, then you have to request them to exit so that you can go make changes to it. And the reason they freeze everything like that for one person is because of this problem.
Okay.
Okay. And now if you throw AI in it, AI is working in parallel, and you're getting requests hit from all directions, and they all have to be processed at the same time, and you have to get an answer back. So and if you have AI agents hitting your loan database, if you have 20 agents running at the same time, and one agent has to lock it before the next one can use it, and the next one, it's not going to work. This is very fundamental. But without a vectorized database that's got your mortgage data, that's got your loan data, if you don't have that figured out, your AI agents are useless. You can create the most beautiful, brilliant agents, but they're useless because they can only work one at a time, if they can work it out.
You've gone from vectorized to today fully autonomous lending platforms.
Correct.
Workflows.
Correct. Yes. And because the next big thing, as we already talked about, was a cell architecture, which the industry calls agents. We call them cells. And we got the cells. We have millions of cells working in parallel. Okay, those millions of cells, millions of agents working in parallel on every loan file and hitting the database and making changes and updates, right? And they're running in parallel, and the vector space is changing in real time as these agents talk to it. Wow. And that's why the workflows can be completely autonomous.
Yeah. Very interesting. Fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So we didn't just do mortgages. We've done, there's a full comprehensive ecosystem, and this ecosystem is getting even bigger. Of course, for all the mortgage listeners here, and I know we're talking mainly to the mortgage industry and banking industry in this podcast, I think Literally, we are the first and only end-to-end AI loan servicing system. Stop and think about that. Everyone
Wow.
else, every other loan servicing system is on 1960s COBOL code.
I know.
So they could barely keep that running. Okay. And we have a fully AI system running, sitting on a vectorized database.
Yeah. And I wonder when the day is that this is going to be all coming to light, how fragile this current system is.
Yeah. As we keep growing and expanding, I think there's those who are not on this technology are going to get pushed out. They
Yeah.
can't compete.
Yeah.
Can't compete on service levels. Can't compete on the cost.
Point is, do you think that's going to happen, Pavan? At what point?
We're seeing it happen right now. Our volume we practically double every month.
Wow.
And new brokers, new agents, new realtors keep signing up. We're north of 350,000 users right now. We're adding more than 15,000 new users a month to the platform. And there's no advertising, there's no mass media. It's all word of mouth. Think about it, 350,000 loan officers on the platform. How many realtors and loan officers are there in the world or in America? Right? How much longer is it going to take where every single loan officer is on this platform?
Very fascinating. A lot of changes coming to the landscape.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. And remember that our Angel AI loan servicing is Freddie, Fannie, Jenny approved, gone all the certifications. I don't think the agencies have approved any other technology in the last 40 years. Then this is the first one.
Wow. Very interesting. Next slide.
And then, of course, the Angel token. And we talked about blockchain a little bit.
Down to my notes here from your presentation, Pavan, and I'm looking at the points that you were hitting on in Las Vegas. We are really at an inflection point right now.
Big breaking news. It's just come out. The Senate Banking Committee has announced that the compromise draft, which the crypto industry is actually very happy with, which is a good sign. Okay, that means the right thing has happened. Yeah. That means the big banks have lost. So all the big banks are listing, sorry, you suck. Crypto is better.
Yeah.
The Clarity Act has made it past the Senate Banking Committee, and the fight was over the crypto industry versus the old banking industry. Because with the Clarity Act passing the Genius Act passed last year, and now with the Clarity Act passed, there's almost no reason to keep your money at a money center bank. They've become obsolete. Now, all you have to do is remember these 12 little words, which is the key to your Angel wallet, and you have access to all your money, all your investments, all of your real estate, right? And you can move and in a second, rebalance your investments, rebalance your retirement, all of this stuff, right? And without having to pay brokerage fees and all this kind of stuff, and you get rid of all the intermediaries.
Boy, that's encouraging. The major cost savings is benefiting them further and further down the line for more and more consumers to have access.
It's a huge, massive boost to the economy at the cost of traditional banks who are stranglehold on the economy. Let me put it this way. Why is that? Okay. Why will this boost the economy so much? And how is it that the current banking system has a stranglehold on the economy today? So let's just really basic numbers, right? You can look at the HMDA data for the past 7 or 10 years, right? We look at it every year after year, right? For every 2 black borrowers that are declined, 1 should have been approved. That is the state of our banking industry today, right? And for every 4 veterans that are declined, 3 should have been approved. Anyone who's been in this business, any loan officer, redlining is rampant. It's proving it is a hard part, but the reality is rampant. And now in your palm of your hand, you have the full bank. With the Clarity Act, with Angel AI, with your wallet,
you
have the
grandma being able to do it.
Exactly. The full bank in your hand, controlling your mortgage, your loan, access to your loan, access to your investments, access to your money, and the cheapest access to your money. Because when you have your money in a checking account, it literally, because a bank has to pay FDIC anywhere from 30 to 70 basis points insurance, and plus all the expense of managing a checking account. And so those, you see it in terms of fees and overdraft charges and this and that and the other thing, right? So you're losing money by putting money in a checking or savings account. And when you put in a savings account, you get 1%. Why not just put it in a stable coin in your wallet? You don't have to pay anything.
That's such an interesting idea. It's a concept that more and more people are studying, but really the vast majority of people have no clue.
Yeah. And first thing is get your Angel wallet and just get into the process and start getting comfortable.
That's really good.
In crypto, right? So
I'm looking at the notes here. It says you're talking about a market reality and why we are poised for an absolute domination. What do you mean by that statement?
It's because American homeowners right now are sitting on $40 trillion of home equity.
Yes, and equity.
So there's as much home equity assets sitting on a private American balance sheet as there is as the US government is in debt. So now imagine what this does to American GDP and productivity if that home equity is unleashed back into the economy, into the private sector, to people, if people can use that money to fund their businesses, to pay for education, to build and innovate and really practice American exceptionalism. So they don't have to jump through 10 hoops and lose hundreds of basis points to get access to their own money.
And the scale and the scope of this is 18 trillion to 55 trillion. I remember that's on one of your slides.
Yes, go to the next slide. That would be the next. Of
Wonderful.
course, if you want to know where to go to get all this, just ask Angel. We talked about the U.S. debt. Government debt is 40 trillion, but U.S. private debt is 18 trillion. So there's private debt at 18 trillion and there's home equity of 40 trillion. So American consumers 18 trillion debt, but they have 40 trillion on their balance sheet.
Really?
So American consumers can literally pay off all their debt by simply transferring their home equity balance sheet to paying off the debt and stop paying interest. Just stop and think about what the impact this would have on the economy if Americans just tapped into home equity, paid off all their debt.
Interesting.
Okay.
Wow.
Tapping into that home equity is now possible with the Clarity Act. That would be a whole different conversation. And we could talk about that for hours, but I'm going to just leave this teaser here for your audience. Clarity Act means 40 trillion of home equity is about to get released. That's just home equity. Right? Total, I think naturally just, and total real estate equity beyond home equity, I think is north of $100 trillion. Okay. And then $55 trillion is the global consumer debt, the global consumer credit market. So the U.S. consumer credit market is $18 trillion. $55 trillion is the global consumer credit market.
Wow. Staggering.
Yeah.
Staggering.
And that combination this is the market that Angel AI serves. So this is the term for that in the private equity world. They call it the total addressable market, TAM. It does other kinds of credit, not just mortgages.
Interesting.
Right? Because if it could do a mortgage, which is, and especially a U.S. mortgage, which is the most complex thing you can do in finance. We could do every other kind of credit anywhere in the world because it already speaks 100 plus languages.
Which really speaks to the evaluation that you had some time back.
Exactly. That's why our intellectual property alone, and that was based on over a year ago, the assets that we had, the third parties have put a bid on it at $120 billion. So it's a real market value.
Staggering. What is the next step to accelerate in this transition?
It's just ask Angel. You want to know, you want any help with your credit and your mortgage, just ask Angel.
I was wondering, does this work like some of the other intelligence that people are carrying around in their pockets? That can Angel AI do a lot of the other things, that tasks that are not related to mortgages?
That's a great question. And I'm so glad you raised that. But there's a recent phenomenon called OpenClaw.
Yes.
And everyone's talking about it. No one knows how to use it. So those tools are out there that, again, AI agents are out there that can do a lot of stuff for you, from helping you write your emails to taking your McDonald's order or whatever, right? Or calling your Uber. Okay. That's what OpenClaw is.
It's the size of this global market is just staggering.
Yes. It's huge and so simple because it's already built. Our model's already built. We could flip on any country, any credit product. It's literally switches.
And you're doing it already in other countries, Saudi Arabia, Costa Rica.
Correct. We haven't.
Japan, this is coming online.
We're in final stages of implementing.
Fascinating. Fascinating. Where do you see the future? Where does this all go for the financial services industry? Nothing is beyond reach. Probably where we started. This is the slide we started
Nothing is beyond reach. Nothing is beyond reach. What it means is that every citizen of the planet, there's 2 billion plus people that are unbanked. They're suddenly banked.
Yeah.
2 billion people added to the formal economy, 2 billion people that are now suddenly fully productive, who are maybe, but right now, because they don't have access to banking, they're sitting at 5 or 10% productivity. Now they're at 100% productivity. The world economy, in trillions and trillions of dollars will be added to the world economy. Wow. And it's the end of poverty. It's the end of famine. We're talking about utopia level event here.
It's staggering.
And we are American ingenuity, American technology is the singularity to bring the end of, literally the end of wars and of increased productivity to such a level and raise the world's standard of living so high that wars will end. And it's because of this fundamental technology.
Especially we're living through what we're living through right now.
That's what we're living through right now. Yes. And even though right now the world the world is embroiled in a number of conflicts, my long-term look is very optimistic because the politicians do what they want to do, but we citizens are solving the problems.
Wow.
Innovation doesn't stop. We continue to work and solve problems and move forward.
Pavan, this has been so fascinating. I said, listen to what you have to say in this presentation and when you did at Mastermind. Are you going to be giving this presentation again at the Mastermind in June?
You know me, I rarely give the same presentation twice. So I'm not sure what I'll do in June. I get bored if I do something more than once.
Yeah. This has been fascinating. I thank you so much for being here with me today, sharing all of this. I love the logo. It speaks to the elegance of this product and the solutions that you're bringing. Very excited.
Thank you, David.
Thank you, Pavan. Folks, I hope you enjoyed this podcast. It's an important message because when you're doing lending, we need to make sure we're doing it that benefits the borrower. It's not only the ability to repay, that's one thing, but is it truly providing benefits? For those that are not listening to this message, they could get themselves caught in a situation where there could be liability, because we just want everyone listening to this podcast to be doing the right thing for the right borrower and protecting themselves and their interests as they do so. Thanks for being here, everybody. A big thank you to our sponsor, Angel AI, making this podcast possible. Have a good rest of your week and look forward to seeing you back here for the next podcast.
You've been listening to Lykken on Lending. Our passion is to bring you the latest insights, trends, and updates from the world of mortgages. So on this show, if you're a seasoned industry veteran or just getting started, it's your go-to source for all things mortgage. We hope you've enjoyed the show. We'll be back soon. Take care, and we'll see you next time on Lykken on Lending.